I'm Ann Charles.
Hi, I'm Keith Ghostland.
And hi, I'm Linda Crumlin. Welcome to All Things LGBTQ. It is Tuesday, September 17th, and we're meeting at Orca, which we acknowledge as unceded indigenous land. So, Ann, what do you have?
I have a programming note from last time, which causes great delight. I looked up female sea lions, because you may recall I reported that male sea lions have as many as 35 female paramours during their
in their harems.
So the question arose, what about the women or the females? Both sexes are polygamous and breed throughout the year, but females are usually restricted to the 1 or 2 adult males of their pride. In captivity, sea lions often breed every year, but in the wild, they usually breed no more than once in 2 years. I have more. I couldn't resist, because I think we're a little speciesist in our program.
I'm glad you said pride, because I had remembered them calling them harems, but apparently that's incorrect.
Well, I'm not an expert, as you may surmise, but apparently pride, maybe it's, I can't answer that.
Okay.
But I'll return next time. Scientists have observed homosexual behavior in sea lions, which is also what I was interested in. Homosexual behavior, and this many viewers may know, has been observed in many marine animals, including sperm whales, orcas, manatees, and flamingos, which we know. The only, and this is sort of interesting, I think, the only known species to exhibit exclusive homosexual orientation other than humans is the domesticated sheep, with about 10% of males exhibiting this behavior. Now, it just as in a moment of self-indulgence, I went on to walruses.
Professor Charles kicked into gear here. I can see this.
It's total digression. But walruses have incredible sexual diversity in the animal kingdom. Male walruses who display predominantly homosexual behavior until they reach sexual maturity at the age of 4, and bisexual behavior from then on. They engage in close relationships with their partners, hugging and cuddling with each other. It's only during mating season that they have sexual intercourse with females. So let's see a picture now of 2 walruses cuddling.
I feel I've been deprived not having seen walruses. They're lusty creatures.
And they're so full of, they cuddle all the time. But
hey, and I can get behind that.
I know. It didn't identify the orientation of the cuddling walruses on the beach that you've just seen, but I couldn't resist just letting them into our show. My great pleasure. Now let's go to Serbia. We'll start with Europe. The Pride March was held in the conservative Serbia under heavy police protection, and I have a picture before you of Serbian revelers. It was in the capital, and it was pressed for the demand that the populist government. It pressed the demand that the populist government improve the rights of the LGBTQ community, who often face harassment and discrimination in this highly conservative Balkan country. The march was in central Belgrade under heavy police protection because of possible attacks from right-wing extremists. Organizers said assailants had assaulted a young gay man in Belgrade 2 days ago and took away his rainbow flag in the latest incident. Now, Serbia wants to go to the European Union, but its democratic record is poor. Their LGBTQ community is demanding that authorities pass a law for same-sex partnerships and boost other rights. We can't even walk freely without heavy police cordons securing the gathering, said a resident of Belgrade. The event on Saturday was held under the slogan, "Pride Our People." It also had a concert and a party after the march. No incidents were reported. The local television show said a small group of opponents sang nationalist and religious songs at one point along the route, carrying a banner that read, "Pride, Humiliation." Western ambassadors in Serbia, opposition politicians, and liberal ministers from the Serbian government joined the event, but the right-wing Belgrade mayor openly opposed the Pride gathering. Pride marches in Belgrade had been marked in the past by tensions and sometimes skirmishes and clashes. The populist government of President Alexander Vučić in 2022 first banned a pan-European Pride event in Belgrade, but later backed down and allowed the march to take place. So they're marching. It's a really checkered history in Belgrade.
Well, I hope they don't get in the EU for that.
Well, yeah. They need to clean up their act. Now I just have a headline. A request for an LGBTQ conference in the Hungarian parliament was denied. And we're not surprised by this, but I mention it because it's so important to keep the battle raging, to keep the protests going, to keep the resistance coming, even if you feel like it's fruitless. So that's my soapbox moment. Now let's go to Poland.
We haven't been to Poland for a while.
Poland has been flooding too, which is not the subject of our of this film, which I'm going to show you a clip of, and it's very interesting. It's called All Our Fears, based on a true story. It's a 2021 Polish biographical film based on the life of the Catholic gay activist Daniel Rycharski. Daniel, an activist respected by the rural community, is in love with Oleg, a boy from the neighborhood who conceals his sexual identity. Their relationship is a secret. When a teenage friend, Jakoda, commits suicide under the influence of homophobic attacks, Daniel tries to persuade people from the village to perform the Stations of the Cross for the victim, which causes the rural community to turn away from him. At a curator's suggestion, Daniel participates in an exhibition at an art gallery in Warsaw. So you can see this. You can rent this, All Our Fears, on Fandango at Home, Prime Video, Apple TV, or you can buy it on Fandango at Home, Prime Video, and Apple TV. So let's look at a clip of All Our Fears.
Nie ma piekła po śmierci.
Tak, a co jest?
Nic nie ma. Bo piekło i niebo jest tutaj, w innych ludziach.
Tak? Kim na przykład?
Na przykład ty jesteś moim niebem.
Jesteśmy pozostawieni sami sobie! Odrzuceni! Na marginesie! Wykluczeni! Zeszczuci!
Twoja wina! Twoja wina! Twoja wina!
Mówią, że ty jej coś nagadałeś.
Że co ja zrobiłem? Przecież powinniśmy teraz wszyscy iść i uderzyć się w pierś.
Coś tej do głowy nagadał. Kim ty w ogóle jesteś? Kim ty jesteś?
Całe życie będzie się dla nich zażynał, żeby co, żeby cię po prostu tolerowali?
Jeden samotny gej w zdarciu z okrutną homofobią w rodzinnej miejscowości. Co zrobiłeś? Jakiś lincz na naszej wsi.
Czy nie boi się pan tego, że pan spłonie na stosie teraz?
Dawaj tego pedała tutaj! Pierdalać mi stąd! Ale już!
Gdzieś tam wiem, że samotność jest po coś. Tylko kompletnie nie wiem teraz po co.
Well, thank you. That looks
I was
interesting.
going to say, the narrative reminds me a little bit of, it was 80s, 90s, The Priest, where the confrontation was incest and abuse, but a secret relationship reaching out to the community and the community response. This sounds very familiar.
I love that it's really biographical. In fact, there's a Wikipedia entry about it. So, shall I continue?
I think you could do one more short story if you'd like, and then we should move on.
Short story, huh? Well, I'd like to go to Oceania, specifically New Zealand, where a new gay Chief Justice has been sworn in Tonga. And if you're wondering about Tonga, if it's not on your immediate radar screen, let me tell you a little about it. It's a Polynesian kingdom of more than 170 South Pacific islands, many uninhabited. Most lined in white beaches and coral reefs and covered with tropical rainforest. The main island is protected by lagoons and limestone cliffs. It's home to the rural capital as well as beach resorts, plantations, and a monumental coral gate that dates from the 1200s. Why are we talking about Tonga, you may wonder? Or do I have a comment about Tonga?
Oh, no. When you said going back to the gates and stuff, I remember seeing a National Geographic documentary about it.
It's got to be gorgeous place.
Oh, it is.
And now they have a new gay Chief Justice. Let's look at a picture of him. His name is Malcolm Leslie Bishop. He's being sworn in. He's on the right. And the Prime Minister is swearing him in it looks like a native outfit. He's been sworn in for a 4-year term as Tonga's new Chief Justice. He's now the Lord Chief Justice of the Supreme Court and President of the Land Court of Tonga.
Good.
Honorable Malcolm and Leslie Bishop KC took his oath in cabinet as the newly appointed Lord Chief Justice, said the Prime Minister's office. The event was witnessed by the Prime Minister and members of the cabinet. The appointment of Mr. Bishop from Wales, UK, has faced strong criticism due to his sexual orientation, so Tonga is not so progressive. Senior Tongan lawyer Clive Edwards Sure alleged that advocates for LGBTQ plus rights, such as Mr. Bishop, may be breaching Tonga's laws prohibiting sodomy. Mr. Edwards also expressed concerns about Mr. Bishop's ability to remain impartial in court cases involving sodomy over which he would preside. In 2021, Tonga's then Chief Justice, Mr. Michael Whitten, sentenced an 18-year-old teenager to 42 months imprisonment after sodomizing a 14-year-old boy. So most of the court cases have involved children. The controversy surrounding the appointment of the new Chief Justice arises about a decade after protests have been staged against the previous administration's decision to ratify the UN Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, known as CEDAW. So it was ratified, there were protests, and the King of Tonga finally decided to withdraw the government's support of this law. A petition is currently being organized to urge the King to revoke the appointment of Mr. Bishop as the new Chief Justice after it was revealed that his LGBTQ plus lifestyle might violate Tonga's law, as I just said, which prohibits sodomy. The petition stems from the revelation that Mr. Bishop and his late partner, Anthony Vanderweerd, another man, lived together as a gay couple for 51 years. And he's an LGBTQ barrister and is open about his sexual orientation and gender identity. So this isn't out of the blue, this news. Same-sex marriages have been legal in England and Wales since March 2014. Churches and legal stakeholders in the kingdom were planning petitions and marches to the king, urging His Majesty to rescind Mr. Bishop's appointment, but he's still there and he's been appointed, and let's hope for the best for Mr. Bishop.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, so I want to start by advising that if you did not see Anne's interview on the most recent show, please take the time to go and look at it. It's with Lamia, is that the correct? H, who is a Muslim lesbian author. The book discussion group recently talked about her book, Hijab Butch Blues, and reports on what it's like for members of our communities to live in other cultures and other countries. This is someone who is telling their experience, and do not be offset by you're not going to see their face, and that is totally for safety reasons. And I think at times we don't appreciate the risk that people such as this take, stepping forward to reveal the truth of what it's like to live as a member of our community in a different culture. So thank you for the interview. Thank them for their courage in doing this.
And may I just add, the book is great.
Yeah.
So please read it. It's one of the best books I've read in a long time.
Do we know if Bear Pond has it in stock?
I don't know.
Because they try to keep current literature. But okay, so this week's trivia question, and Linda got it even without the hint, and how she got it would have been the hint. Is we talk about Stonewall as being a major event in our community. This month is Hispanic Heritage Month, and there was an uprising that occurred 10 years before Stonewall that we really don't talk about. What might that have been? And Linda knows. And how is it connected to Hispanic Heritage Month? And Anne nailed that one. So looking at events, Rainbow Umbrella, Women's Discussion Group, Book Discussion Group, they're both in person, correct?
No, not the book. The
book is still Zoom?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Rainbow Bridge, they are a phenomenal community resource. And I have a printout of their groups, discussions, whatever. They have a trans group that meets, and non-binary that meets the third Wednesday of each month, a trans guardian group. This is for parents to come and talk about their experience with trans youth. And a recent conversation I had with Sawyer Totten, they shared an interview that their parents had given where they said, I never knew what they went through. So this is critical. An LGBTQ plus veterans group. And they also have fun stuff. They have a board game night the first Monday of the month. Bring your favorite board game, invite someone to participate. A queer writers group, a craft club, socializing with pride, and this is my favorite. Have you looked at this? The second Thursday of each month, the Bad Art Club. Come and express yourself. It doesn't matter how good you are at it. But
We covered a lot of this information when I interviewed Heather.
Exactly.
So it sounds great.
I mean, they're really looking at what does the community need? What are they supporting? What will they come in for? And okay, let's make sure we provide that resource. Thank you. Mosaic, which is the sexual violence program, please go and look at their website. This past weekend, they hosted an information festival on the State House lawn where they had other providers sharing, this is what we have to offer, this is what you would come to us for as a service. And most of those organizations have said they'd love to do an interview with All Things talking about what they have to offer. And don't forget Frocks Market, which is now advertising itself as the Central Vermont Gay Market. And every month they do the queer poetry reading. Yep. They do the karaoke night, which scares me. I can just see Linda with a microphone in hand. And look at their website because they always sponsor some really interesting events. And they put out a monthly newsletter saying, these are the things we're doing. Come relax, have a good time. Pride Center of Vermont and the Vermont Professionals of Color Network is jointly sponsoring a National Coming Out Day event. So this would be on October 11th at the Savoy, 7 p.m. One night only. They are showing saving face, which have you talked about this? Because
We've seen it, I know.
okay. Chinese-American lesbian and her traditionalist mother are reluctant to go public with secret loves that clash against cultural expectations.
That's not the saving face that I know, so,
Oh, that's the narrative that was on.
okay, good.
Must be two of them.
Hey, there must be two.
Or they
Different movies.
We'll find out soon enough.
We can, we'll be on next time,
And
God willing.
there you go.
before the 11th.
On September 28th, this is the last Queer Reads book club event at the Fletcher Free Library in Burlington. It's in the local history room, 11 to noon. And the book is Everyone on the Moon is Essential Personnel. So, and very quickly, for an event, the election is coming up. People will start getting ballots mailed to them on September 23rd by the Secretary of State. If you haven't received one by October 4th, get in touch with your town clerk because there's something wrong with the information for how you are registered and where you're registered. So, and then starting on October 4th, they're going to also start, they're going to start doing what they call the defective ballot process. You've either dropped it off, mailed it, and they looked at it, there's something wrong, so it would be considered a spoiled ballot. You're going to be given the opportunity to correct it.
Nice.
So that your ballot counts. And keep in
Why
mind...
don't we do that everywhere in the country? Never mind. I answered my own question.
I was going to say, I don't know that we have, it's a simple answer, Speaker Mike Johnson, but it's a longer conversation of what are they afraid of?
Yeah.
They really don't want your voice, and we need to get rid of the Electoral College, but there we go. November 5th is Election Day, so your ballot needs to be at your town clerk before the closed polls close at 7 o'clock. Polls open anytime between 5 a.m. and 10 a.m.
Do we read them before or after? Some states read them after the ballots, the mail-ins after the actual closing of the election, and some people do it before.
They can do it. There is a date at which they can start looking at them, because how else are they going to know that it's a spoiled ballot and give you the chance to correct it?
Yeah.
They need to look at it.
Some people, like I think Pennsylvania and North Carolina, do it on the day.
It's Georgia.
Yeah.
Because that was part of the suit was, they're bringing all of these secret bins in from under the table. No, it was the absentee ballots.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
May I add to Keith's announcements?
Oh. Yes.
The book we're reading in the Rainbow Umbrella Momentum Club is Love is an Ex-Country by Randa Gerard. And on a personal note, I've heard Linda sing karaoke. It's not so bad.
I have yet to experience it. And thank you for telling the book. Usually I ask you, so what are you reading? And this time I immediately moved up. Thank you.
All right, no problem.
Now we're talking about corporations. Isn't that exciting? Several corporations are racing to dismantle the diversity, equality, and inclusion initiatives in the face of pressure from right-wing activists who have sought to expose the companies on social media over their LGBTQ inclusive policies and other efforts to support workers. Many of the companies have been caving in response to social media call-outs by Robbie Starbuck. We'll have more about him. Right-wing social media personality who has posted bogus, false, anti-LGBTQ rhetoric to his page on X, complaining about far-left activists who he said will stop at nothing to indoctrinate children, sexualize them, guilt them, and punish them until they submit to their woke religion. In recent days, Starbucks has leaked internal letters sent to employees at various companies in an apparent bid to force the companies to change course. So far, it's working. When Ford pulled out and was asked why they had done that, they said, well, if you don't like our policy, just shop elsewhere.
That is so awful. And at the end of the last show, we were talking about it, and I was unsure about whether Ford had capitulated. So it's important to hear that it had.
It has.
And not just capitulated, they totally caved in.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Don't buy
And dug
my
in your
product.
heels.
Yeah, don't
Take it or leave it.
Yeah. You don't like
don't
it,
buy
too
my
bad.
car. Go someplace else.
Go buy a
Really?
Chevy.
That's awful.
Limited, it's in, let me see. Oh, even Target, who we knew was very supportive of the LGBT community for a long time, has limited their Pride merchandise for the second straight year in a row, pointing last year to a dip in sales as well as threats to workers and anti-LGBTQ customers. Anheuser-Busch, as we recall, the owner Bud Light, also faced enormous backlash after partnering with Dylan Mulvaney on a Bud Light Instagram promotion last year that led to boycotts targeting the brand. Now, this Robbie Starbuck is a former Hollywood music video director turned conservative activist, has caught fire campaigning online against some major American brands' diversity, equality, and inclusion programs, support for gay pride marches, and LGBTQ events. He's used strategies to slow climate change and other policies. Starbuck is both riding a wave of right-wing hostility to DEI programs and corporate advocacy on issues like climate change and LGBTQ rights. Harley-Davidson, Tractor Supply Company, and John Deere, and relentlessly drawn attention online to their past publicity-stated policies. Starbuck has also claimed credit for Brown-Forman and Lowe's internal announcements in recent weeks to scale back on their diversity and inclusion programs.
This is a really important story because the audience
Listen.
and we need to know what to boycott.
Yeah, I was going to say, listening to the list of these are the companies that are caving on diversity, equity, and inclusion. I mean, Home Depot is already deplorable, but now Lowe's as well. We need to go to Aubuchon's.
And we need to know where to spend our money.
Well, and is this Starbucks related to the coffee Starbucks?
Yes, the coffee Starbucks. Robbie Starbuck is a different person.
Oh.
He's not related to Starbucks.
Okay. Well,
Okay, that's
Yeah.
what I was asking.
Yeah.
Because coffee could be at risk.
Well, I haven't gone to Starbucks in a long time.
Their coffee is too acidy as far as I'm concerned, but
We
that's
digress.
another story. Anyway, this is a good story. A school district in northeastern Florida must return 36 books related to race and LGBT community to school libraries as part of a settlement reached Thursday with authorities, parents, and students. So that's good news.
And
Yes.
that's one more reason to underscore the importance of resistance and suing and people who
Fighting
are
back.
fighting all that instead of giving up. you
Well,
know?
it's also why we need to show up for elections, because who is appointing the judges that are hearing these cases, and what is their ideology as they're walking in an interpretation of the law. So,
And school boards.
Yeah.
Who's on our school
Exactly.
boards?
And now I have a movie clip, and it's called My Old Ass. It's on Fandango. And it was written that we're getting representation for queer women approaching 40 who wish they had made different life choices. I'm talking about me specifically. The debut trailer for the Aubrey Plaza film My Old Ass premiered today, offering us our first extended look at the Sundance favorite. The coming-of-age film, written and directed by Megan Park, casts Plaza as a possibly shroom-induced apparition who appears to her younger self, played by Macy Stella, during the teenager's last summer at her parents' cranberry bog. So here's the clip.
I thought I'd be happier at 40.
You are happy, and I'm not 40, asshole.
You don't look happy. I feel like you're having a midlife crisis.
Well, I feel like you're high on mushrooms, so you don't know shit.
To Elliot.
No, not the whole bag.
May you experience a new level of consciousness tonight.
Oh my God. Are you guys tripping? I don't feel anything.
That's because we don't tolerate drugs well.
Hey, freak. Who are you?
Elliot. Dude, I'm you.
You're me.
What's up?
I don't have a gap in my teeth.
Yeah, wear your retainer. Left boob, 1 cup smaller than the right.
I'm actually kind of hot for being middle-aged.
I'm 39 years old. That's not middle-aged.
No, that is middle-aged.
No, it's not. I am a very young adult.
I'm so jealous you guys had good trips.
Did you have fun?
Yeah.
Dude, I know mom can be annoying, but be nice to her and go hang out with your brothers.
Ow, Max!
Also, can you avoid anyone named Chad?
Good morning, Elliot. Have you met Chad?
Elliot, you freak. I put my number in your phone the other night, but I did not know this would work. Wait a minute, hang on. Basement! Dude, I gotta go. You were so lucky. Life will never be the same as it is right now. Just take my advice and we'll be fine.
Oh my God!
I think.
What's going on with you?
I just feel like everything that used to make sense doesn't anymore.
The only thing you can't get back is time. It goes by so fast.
I still need you. I'm literally an idiot.
You're not an idiot.
If we weren't the same person, do you think you'd even like me?
You're just saying that because you're young and dumb.
But if you weren't young and dumb, you'd never be brave enough to do anything. Maybe you need to listen to my advice for once. Can we kiss?
No.
What? Can I at least touch my old ass?
Oh my God, you need to be locked up.
Interesting.
It is very interesting, I have to say. Let's see. In a fiery social media post on Thursday, far-right provocateur and fervent Donald Trump ally Laura Loomer took aim at South Carolina U.S. Senator Lindsey Graham. Have you heard about this?
I have.
Okay. Graham has said he wasn't gay, but Laura says he needs to come out of the closet. The post, which came in response to Graham's recent comments criticizing Trump's provocative style, has put a spotlight again on long-standing rumors about Graham's personal life, which he denies. Lindsey Graham has never been loyal to President Trump, Loomer wrote on X, adding, "When is Lindsey going to come out of the closet anyway? We all know he's gay," Lindsey said, and that's okay. It seems like Loomer is even too racist for Marjorie Taylor Greene, and that's going some.
I think the question is, Graham coming out, do we want him?
I know.
I don't want him,
I
do
know.
you?
And that's been going around for years, all that
yeah.
discussion.
And on Wednesday, the Little Gay Pub, a beloved LGBTQ venue in Washington, D.C., was vandalized when a man sprayed the initials HMS on several images of Vice President Harris. The photos were part of the pub's Coconut Christmas decor in honor of Harris' acceptance speech and nomination for President of the United States. The LGBTQ-owned and operated business in the vibrant Logan Circle neighborhood had adorned its exterior with sparkling photos of Harris. 2 images at the entrance depicted Harris standing powerfully before the American flag, exuding confidence, with one displayed at the corner of the property. Another photo above gazed down onto the street below, symbolizing the pub's unwavering support for Harris, a candidate they believe embodies pride and progress for the LGBT community.
What does HMS mean?
I knew you were going to ask me that, and I don't know. You can look it up. I didn't. Oh. Now, I don't know if anybody knew this, but 2 decades ago, when a Democratic presidential nominee wouldn't dream of endorsing gay marriage, a newly elected district attorney named Kamala Harris was performing one of the first same-sex unions in the United States.
Go Kamala!
It was the so-called Winter of Love in San Francisco. The mayor at the time, Gavin Newsom, had directed the county clerk to approve gay marriages, even though there was no law on the books recognizing them. His act of rebellion prompted a bipartisan political backlash, but Harris had no hesitation. You could tell by looking at this clip that she was so overwhelmed and had so much joy about performing this ceremony, said Brad Witherspoon, whose marriage to Raymond Cobain was officiated by Harris on Valentine's Day in 2004.
By quick search, HMS, of course, immediately comes up as His Majesty's ship.
Yeah.
But the slang is hang myself.
I'm not sure how that fits. Can you?
Well, no. Hang myself, putting it on Kamala's. She
should hang herself?
Bingo.
Oh, all right.
Because it goes further to say that if a youth uses this phrase, you need to step in and start talking to them about self-harm and suicide. So they're telling Kamala,
go hang yourself.
Bingo.
And
I almost wish I hadn't looked it up.
I know. For the first time in its 4-decade history, America's largest lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer civil rights organization has declared a national state of emergency for members of the LGBT community. The Human Rights Campaign said Tuesday, LGBTQ plus community. The Human Rights Campaign said Americans are living in a state of emergency. The multiplying threats facing millions in our community is very serious, and we should take note. In many cases, they are resulting in violence against LGBTQ people, forcing families to uproot their lives and flee their homes in search of safer states, and triggering a tidal wave of increased homophobia and transphobia that puts the safety of each and every one of us at risk. So, and I think I will do one more quick story, Ann, and then we should move on to you. We're running out of time. Megyn Kelly, you know Megyn Kelly, right? Mm-hmm. She unleashed a tirade in response to pop superstar Taylor Swift's Tuesday night endorsement of Vice President Harris and Minnesota Governor Walz for the 2024 election. Swift, who praised the duo for their leadership on LGBTQ plus rights and reproductive freedom, has sparked outrage from conservative pundits, with Kelly leading the charge on her podcast, The Megyn Kelly Show. I'm allowed to criticize Taylor Swift, she said, and I don't give a fuck who gets upset. She raged. This is disgusting. If she wants to vote for Harris Walz, she can do whatever she wants. But to say the reason she's doing it is because Tim Walz's stance on LGBTQ is just fucking awful. And fuck you, Taylor Swift.
Nice.
Isn't that sweet?
Mm-hmm.
All right,
Ann. Public discourse. Well, let's go to Australia.
Okay. It's a long trip.
Jonathan Berry has made history as the first Indigenous Australian to be crowned Mr. Universe. Sorry, there's his picture. It's a historic win in 2024. The actor, model, and comedian took to Instagram on the 26th of August saying, "Well, history was made. I won Mr. Universe." The Palawa, which means Aboriginal Tasmanian man, has spearheaded LGBTQ plus advocacy and representation for First Nations people in the pageant community. He was the Aboriginal Tasmanian representative on the Advisory Committee for Sydney World Pride in 2023 and has committed himself to raising awareness and advocating for LGBTQ plus rights. He has noted that he is the first Australian to land the Mr. or Miss Universe title since Jennifer Hawkins won the award in 2004. Meanwhile, he is the first Australian male ever sent and the first Aboriginal person in history. The star expressed his desire to put his win to good uses and model around the world and share the beauty of Australia. He continued, "I'm so full of pride and so honored and so exhausted at the same time." In an interview with National Indigenous Times, Barry highlighted the importance of his win for the community of First Nations people. He told the outlet, "It is an immense honor and a great responsibility to represent both Australia and the broader First Nations community. This opportunity allows me to showcase the richness of our culture and advocate for greater representation." Now let's go to Asia, where Iran has summoned the Australian envoy over an LGBTQ plus celebration in the Tehran embassy. It centers on an Instagram picture that is so tame. I'll show it to you in a little bit. Iran on Tuesday summoned the Australian ambassador of Iran over the publication of photos from a celebration in the embassy to mark Australia's National LGBTQ Day on September 1st. The Foreign Ministry summoned the Australian ambassador to Tehran. His name is Ian McConville, and condemned the publication of photos on social media, calling it insulting and contrary to Iranian and Islamic culture as well as international norms. In response,
weren't they in their own embassy?
McConville said his country had not insulted Iran or Iranian culture, adding that there was no reference to Iran in the post on Instagram. On Monday, the embassy published a photo of McConville and his colleagues wearing colorful outfits and saying, "Today and every day we're dedicated to creating a supportive environment where everyone, especially LGBTQIA plus youth, can feel proud to be themselves." And let's look at this tame picture. I mean, they have cupcakes, you know. Now, homosexuality is illegal in Iran, but under a religious decree issued 30 years ago, transgender people are allowed to seek gender transition surgery. So that's
interesting.
Speaking of transgender people, let's stay in Asia and go to Indonesia, where transgender Catholics welcome the visit from Pope Francis. And I feel a little ambivalent myself about Pope Francis, but honesty in journalism requires me to report this story. Let's look at a picture now of a group of trans women in Jakarta, Indonesia, preparing to see the Pope on Thursday. And we know he's doing this world trip. And he's 87, and he's covering a lot of countries, and it's very intense for him. It must be.
Well, he's probably flying in a very luxurious jet, I'm sure.
Yeah, that could be. But anyway, a group of trans women in South Jakarta are putting on their Sunday best. They wore feathers, silk, glitter, and long eyelashes, each one draped a rosary around her neck. Pope Francis deserves our best outfit, she said, as the group got ready to catch a glimpse of the Pope on Thursday during his visit to Indonesia. For many trans women living on the fringes of society here, the Catholic Church is a safe haven, and Pope Francis, with his messages of tolerance and openness toward the LGBTQ community, has become a personal hero. They were excited by his 4-day visit. Catholics make up a very small majority in Muslim-predominant Indonesia. Still, dozens of trans women who were not born in the church have been baptized in Jakarta in recent years. They came from every corner of the country, said a Jesuit priest at Jakarta's theater. They come from. The ties between the church and the Jakarta trans women community are a result of the work of the city's archbishop, the priest said. The cardinal instructed priests to welcome transgender people into their parishes as part of a push to respect human dignity. Mami Yuli, the leader of the trans community, said. She lobbied the church, and the result was a rare and fond bond. I often went to the salon and had my hair cut with their group, Father Prabaldi said, another figure in this story. But overall, the transgender community still faces rejection and discrimination in Indonesia. Many are still homeless, and others do sex work to survive, community members said. Once a month, more than 50 trans women attend a prayer meeting at the cathedral. Many frequent cooking classes organized by the church, and two have become instructors. When I go to church, nobody judges me, said one woman who got baptized in 2022 and said that she had started volunteering as a teacher thanks to the church. That makes me sure I want to be a Catholic. Church teachings, now let's get down to the nitty-gritty, oppose gender transition. But Francis has long urged clerics to welcome LGBTQ plus Catholics. He hosted a group of transgender women at the Vatican for lunch. He approved a Vatican document that made clear that transgender people can be baptized and declared laws that criminalize being gay to be unjust. But Francis has also walked a tightrope between his personal urgings for more openness by the church and upholding church doctrine. Recently, the Vatican issued a document approved by Francis stating that the church believes that transition surgery is an affront to human dignity. The Pope also, and I reported on this, also recently used a slur word to refer to gay people. Yeah. Even so, South Jakarta's transgender community has focused instead on Francis' positive message and openness. Some resistance remains among Catholic bishops in Indonesia. A priest who is an ally said his proposal to the local bishops' conference to let Mami Luli meet the Pope was rebuffed. Munda Mayora, 37, a trans woman who was watching on live TV as the Pope met with Indonesian bishops on Thursday, expressed disappointment because LGBTQ Catholics had not been invited to the Mass celebrated by the Pope. The disappointment extended to the stadium on Thursday, and I think this is really sad. A few hours after the group of trans women rallied in front of the stadium, policemen prevented them from standing at the stadium's entrance with their banner of Francis and colorful clothes. Oh. The group headed home even before the Pope arrived. They cannot receive us here, said one of the trans women who was at the stadium, but I still think I can talk to Francis in my dreams. Oh. Now, I have two more stories. Let's take a picture, look at a picture now of Nombuelo Bixa, 28, and Ninholi Nkomo, 22, who were a lesbian couple, very much in love, but killed in South Africa, leaving friends shocked and heartbroken. They were shot in an alleged hate crime by the former male partner of one of the victims. They were trying to board a taxi when they were shot. The suspect in the case is believed to be the ex-partner of one of the women with whom he shares a child, and he could not accept that she now has a relationship with a woman. Allegations of violence in the relationship have also surfaced, with the victim having reportedly filed a protection order against the suspect, who persistently harassed the couple. One of their friends said they'd been shocked and heartbroken by this senseless tragedy. All that I know is that they were very much in love with each other. I am hurt about what has happened. What hurts the most is that no one is giving us proper answers to what happened. In a statement on social media, an LGBTQ group based in the area condemned the brutal act that highlights the deep-seated homophobia and violence that persists in South Africa, especially in rural areas where LGBTQ plus individuals are often marginalized and unprotected. The systematic lack of awareness and understanding in these communities contributes to an environment where such hate crimes can occur frequently and with little consequence.
Okay, we need to move on.
Okay, let me just do this one quick story from Zimbabwe.
Make it quick now, we have to.
Okay, Zimbabwe has a law in the penal code that is anti-gay. It's the penal code, and if you're gay, it may result in fines of up to a year in prison. And so this gay couple had this argument, and they were having this, ongoing dispute. And one of them accused the other of stealing, and they called the police. And so the police arrested them for sodomy. And they've gotten so far, they've been granted $50 bail. Their sentencing is expected this month. But Ann Northrop said of these two guys, what were they thinking? So that's my last story.
So going very quickly, Mike Pichek took some time out from the campaign to get married.
Oh, yes.
So before you now, as Ann would say, is the picture of Mike, partner Will, and most importantly, Jetty. So congratulations.
That's wonderful news.
Now we have reported frequently on the 3 anti-LGBTQ plus and focused specifically on trans women in sports in New Hampshire. Federal judge has just issued an order blocking enactment of this. And the judge ruled that HB 1205 on its face discriminates against transgender girls, and that is not even a close call. The ruling goes on to say the stigma and humiliation that comes from such treatment of a child at the hands of the state is substantial and irreparable. That's why elections are important, because of judges being put on the bench. Real quick, we should keep an eye out for Americans for Prosperity. You probably are getting things in the mail from them already. They oppose the Affordable Heat Act, moving us away from fossil fuels. If I told you this was funded by, the Koch brothers, would that explain why they're promoting fossil fuels? My concern, though, the Koch brothers, they have no boundaries. They're going to start with the Affordable Heat Act. Where are they going to go next? And very quickly, People's Health and Wellness Clinic, and they've agreed to do an interview to talk about this in conjunction with Rainbow Bridge Community Center, Pride Center, and Ishtar Collective. They got a grant to develop and implement gender-affirming care that adheres to medical standards and is culturally competent. And Shauna Trader, the former executive director of Rainbow Bridge, said the People's Health and Wellness Center is critical in Central Vermont for providing the transgender community with competent and affordable care. So real quickly, before I come back to trivia.
Well, I just have one story that I would like to talk about, which is, and Vermont should do this, probably a lot of states should do this, but the state of Connecticut has launched a campaign to attract LGBTQ visitors and potential residents, with the primary focus on LGBTQ individuals currently living in Florida.
Oh, yeah.
The announcement shared via PR Newswire by the Connecticut Office of Tourism directly responds to Florida's recent decision to remove LGBTQ plus travel information from its tourist website, a move that local leaders have criticized as another effort to marginalize and push out queer people in the state. Many LGBTQ plus Floridians, and especially transgender Floridians, have already left the state permanently. So, if you reach out to,
Come to the promised land.
Come to the promised land. And it's Connecticut, so, we should do that here, right?
When we were first
Oregon.
doing the anti-discrimination bill, and Colorado was doing their proposition that was anti-LGBTQ, the Vermont Tourism Association reached out to the queer community saying, where are your venues, where are your outlets? Their entire advertising strategy was Colorado may not want you, Vermont does.
Yes.
Trivia question, Linda nailed it. 10 years before Stonewall might have been in Los Angeles, and it might have been the Cooper's Donut Riot.
Yes.
Linda got it from the donuts. Anne got it because actually the police target was a Latinx American writer, John Ricci, who later recounted this episode in his novel City of Night, and it was also included in the Doors lyrics to L.A. Woman. And what happened was the police came in, the drag queens, and this says transgender women, and the queer community for whom this was our place to hang out, they fought back. They threw donuts at the police officers who retreated, but then came back en masse to do arrests. So to both of you, you done good. And Linda, you're going to take us out with?
And remember, there's only how many days to the election?
Oh.
I think maybe 50.
And we could all throw metaphorical donuts, don't you think?
Absolutely.
Yes. Resist.